Flip the switch, turn it on. Animation's never gone. From Toontown tales to frames that glow. Behind the scenes, come join the show. It's Lightbox. Bright ideas, cartoons alive. Lightbox, where animation thrives. Sketch it, ink it, bring it to life. Let's talk anime, art, and cartoons tonight. Lightbox, the way to that way.
Hello and welcome to Lightbox, the official podcast of Wanimate, the West Australian Animation Association. Whether you're an aspiring animator, a seasoned professional, or simply a fan of the magical world of animation, you've come to the right place. My name is Tanya Beeson.
I'm David O'Connell.
Oh,
And
Lindsay's
you're
still
still
muted.
muted, Lindsay.
I still
There we
muted.
go.
There we go. Go.
Hello, like Basil in Faulty Towers.
Yeah. And we, the three of us, will be your guide in this monthly journey into the heart of the animation industry of Western Australia. So each month, Lightbox will bring you the latest and greatest in animation news, from upcoming films and shows to industry discussions, and we can talk about that will inspire and empower the talented animators who call Western Australia home. We'll also delve into the creative processes and challenges faced by our local animators as they work tirelessly to bring their unique visions to life. So buckle up and get ready to be amazed as we explore the vibrant, ever-evolving world of the West Australian animation. This is Lightbox, and we're just about to get started. Firstly, we wish to acknowledge and honour the traditional custodians of the land we are streaming from, the Whadjuk people of the Noongar Nation. We recognise and celebrate their enduring culture, the rich tapestry of Indigenous arts, and the invaluable contributions they make to the vibrancy and cultural diversity of this city and region.
And before we dive into today's content, we'd also like to issue a quick advisory warning. Look, while our channel is generally suitable for most audiences, there may be occasions when we delve into topics or showcase content that might not be appropriate for younger viewers. We strive to create engaging and enjoyable content for everyone, but just be advised that some material may not be suitable for children. So, as usual, parental discretion is advised, and we encourage you to review the content before sharing it with your younger audience. Our goal is to provide a safe and enjoyable viewing experience for all, and we appreciate your support and understanding. All right, let's get down to it.
Awesome. So, hi everyone. How are we all doing?
Oh, I think I'm doing all right, really. Busy near the end of the semester. Lots of things going on the boil. How about you?
I'm being distracted by off-screen things, shenanigans. So, yeah, at the moment.
That's solitaire. It's such an addictive game. I don't know.
Yeah, it's totally that.
All right.
So, talking about the news and what's coming up, what's going on, where things are happening. Firstly, we should talk about the 3:30 animation and VFX competition. So it's a full swing. Next month, hopefully, we'll have a good chat with the judges before but still have to tee that up. So hopefully that's on the cards, and we'll talk about that as our potential. But coming out and recently coming out and news and all of that. So
we've got a bit of a mixed bag this week. Yeah. So bad news. Star Trek Prodigy is looking for a home again, with Netflix not renewing for a third season. I think, I don't know, I kind of feel that might be it for Prodigy. Second season, it did end off on a good note, so we're not left with a cliffhanger, but still, yeah, a little disappointing. We've got, go on.
Looked a great polished show. Like, it did an awesome job of changing up Star Trek a little and following acting as a follow-in for Voyager. So.
Yeah, and it grew from episode to episode. There is a very distinct upward trajectory of the quality of the show as far as the script and characters go, I feel.
Very cool. Lesbian Space Princess is being shown at the Revelation Film Festival, so that's exciting.
Yep, there's 2 showings scheduled. If I was a professional, I'll have the dates for you exactly, but you can easily look online and find the information.
I'll be there as part of Queer Book Club, so Queer Film Club. So we'll be hanging out and watching Lesbian Space Princess. So
I've still got to book my tickets for it, but yeah, I do want to see it.
So
yeah. So we've got the announcement from the Crunchyroll's Anime of the Year of 2025, which is a misnomer because it's really covering 2024. But Solo Leveling won the award, beating out quite a stacked category of Frieren, Dandadan, Delicious in Dungeon, Apothecary Diaries, and Kaju number 8. It does seem like it's more of a popularity vote than than necessarily a judge's vote, but
Who knew?
let's face it, that's all anime.
No.
I didn't hear that.
There's the Frieren, Dandadan, Delicious in Dungeon, and Apothecary Diaries are all amazing shows and should definitely be watched. Yeah.
No, I was talking more in terms of the judging of any animated series. Series is purely the fans.
Isn't that like the
Okay,
MTV
there's a long discussion that's been had on the internet at the moment by a bunch of YouTubers, one of which was responsible for the initial setting up and the judging of the Crunchyroll Awards from 10 years ago, and refining it over the next 5 years. It's no longer involved in that. And he was pretty salty. So
hang on. So they let a YouTuber set up the competition.
He's actually, God, it's one of these ideas that it's a profession. An amateur professional. He actually has been involved in numerous areas of the anime industry for a while, in various capacities, some of which have been in fairly professional roles.
Okay.
So it's not quite as simple. It's not quite as simple as that. He's just an influencer on YouTube. He's actually got some credit.
I was just thinking, what could possibly go wrong?
Yeah.
Oh my goodness. Could it be? Yes. So I guess I'll handle the next one.
Yeah.
One of my heroes from yesteryear, Oscar and BAFTA award-winning Canadian stop-motion animator and filmmaker Co Herdeman, has died on the 26th of May in Montreal, Canada. He was 84. He's a big feature of my early influences on stop-motion and things like The Magic Portal. I remember watching his awesome film, The Sandcastle, as a kid on the big screen, which had quite a big impact on me. That was back in the day when they were actually still playing a short before a main feature. I think the last movie I ever saw that did that was Raiders of the Lost Ark, I think.
Every Pixar movie.
Yeah, I was going to say.
But that's kind of Pixar being retro, though. This was at the time they were still showing shorts in the 70s, right up until about 1980, I think. And then it suddenly just became all trailers and real estate ads. Well, not quite. Peter's ice cream ads as well, not to overdo the point. But yeah, so when I saw that on the big screen, I was just blown away by it. And what impressed me about it was that sort of it's like an alchemist in action, watching this inanimate object, and these inanimate objects come to life like sand, actual sand, not a cartoon sand or anything like that, real stuff moving around as if it was alive. That's what really impressed me. So he was a big feature of the Canadian Film Board, and I guess Canada's equivalent of an overgrown FTI and Screen Australia combined. He did a whole pile of interesting stop motion things. You should check them out. I nearly had a panic attack when I was making my first experiments in Lego, and I discovered he had made a film called Choo Choo, which is all done with children's blocks. And I thought, oh no, someone's beaten me to it. But no, it's actually quite different and quite interesting. And it's very, very, underrates type animation. It's really good. Should check out his career if you can find it. There should be some old YouTube clips floating around from the Canadian Film Board. But
There's gold he made in those preschool animations.
There certainly are. And I think he did a couple of educational films too, as well, like animating models of, geophysical Earths and stuff like that to illustrate plate tectonics and stuff like that. But yeah, that's going back way, way, way back, 60, 70 years ago now. So,
yeah. There's got to be a Canadian media archive of some description, national
I think there is.
description, so we could probably post links to those later on in the Facebook if we find them. So something for us to do in the next couple of days.
Awesome. Good news and bad news. King of the Hill is back. And so a revival of the series, not a reboot. Everyone's talking about it being a reboot. It's actually carrying on a few years later. So as the Hill family teeter into their senior years, and Bobby's now an adult, and so looks pretty cool. I love King of the Hill. It's got very progressive ideas for a show about rednecks in the suburbs. It's amazingly so, actually.
It's genuine observational comedy and animation.
Yeah.
So it's insightful. So.
But along the lines of that...
yes, we've got some bad news as well. The actor Jonathan Joss, who was one of the voice actors of King of the Hill. He voiced was the second actor to voice John Redcorn. He was murdered near his Texas home last week. It seems like it might have been a homophobic hate crime as well. So
most definitely was a homophobic. There's no scenes.
Yeah, Texan police.
It was textbook.
Yeah. No, he was killed by an ex-neighbor when they were checking their mail. So he and his husband were both shot at. So the husband is managed to survive, but he's died.
Jeez.
Yeah.
So not good.
Not good at all.
But, okay. Upcoming things we've got. Walking with Dinosaurs should be out already.
Yeah, there's a few things. There's a few things there that are out already. We're running a week late, people. Sorry about that. We had something come up. So Walking with Dinosaurs should be out. Dan Evil Eye showed last week at the movies, which is a compilation of, I believe, the first 3 episodes of season 2 of Dan, put into a movie version.
Nice.
Phineas and Ferb, season 5 is started a few days ago, and Predator, Killer of Killers, is available on Disney Plus at the moment. It's actually
amazing seeing some of these 90s animations, or the noughties animations coming back and being, super polished. So Phineas and Ferb looks great.
Yeah,
it does look very polished. I'm kind of used to the old. I don't know. I looked at the new Powerpuff Girls, and it looks a bit bland, and oh god, it's full of lore. Then I went back to the old ones, and I thought, man, they're all over the place, but I love them. There's something I don't know visceral about the old.
Something
cartoons.
raw about all that stuff.
Yeah.
Predator, Killer of Killers. You've seen it, Dave.
Yeah, I have. It's quite impressive. It's okay. It's not quite an anthology series, but it's kind of close. There's a linking story at the end, which I don't want to spoil too much. But it's set across 3 time periods: Viking era, samurai, feudal samurai era, and World War II. And we get to see a different predator in each of those environments. Being confronted, and it's quite. Trachtenberg's got a really good sense of action. I really wish you'd seen it, because I'd like to ask there's something not quite right with the pacing of the animation. So I'm not sure what that is, and it's one of those things that you'd be able to spot it in an instant. But because I'm not part of the industry, I'm an outside observer, I can't quite get it. But it's still a pretty impressive piece.
We'll watch it and have a chat at some point.
And it's by Trachtenberg, so the person responsible for Prey, director responsible for Prey, and the upcoming Badlands.
Prey was amazing.
Prey's good.
There's a lot of backlash for the Predator design in Badlands, but I'm curious.
It's a young Predator. I can see. I believe it's a young Predator. I can see why they're doing it. I get why it's more humanoid looking.
Well, it hasn't fleshed out its dreads yet, has it? It hasn't grown its jaws and its fangs. Oh well.
Yeah.
Well, it's got fangs, but yeah, it's not quite.
Okay, so beyond that, Massimia Jr. I absolutely do not know what this is.
Yeah, sorry. I really wish I'd actually done some research on this one, and I haven't. I can't remember where it's showing, but it's coming out on the 12th. It's actually... Yeah, I'm sorry. I can't provide any more information. My brain's just going, nope, I've forgotten everything I discovered about that. So I'll move on to the next.
Well, I noticed it's like there's several different versions of Massimia. It seems to be some sort of franchise from a non-English speaking country, maybe.
Yeah, it is. But yeah.
We'll check it down and find out.
Ilya coming out the 19th.
Oh, cool.
10 days to the next Disney Pixar movie, and Stitch was only just recently. So for those of you, we haven't added it to the news because Stitch was just out. Lilo and Stitch.
It was live action theoretically.
Was it though?
Well,
yeah. There's these very blurry lines which we've got to discuss if we want to start crossing it, because as we move towards a singularity,
when you're talking a good half of the main cast are CG animated characters, like.
So we're covering. So does that mean we're covering Marvel movies?
Yeah, probably.
Does that mean they're like an animated film or a visual effects animated?
Yeah. Well, it is the live action version of them.
Okay. So we've got K-pop Demon Hunters coming out on the 20th, which is...
Oh, my God. That just sounds like torture to me.
This sounds like the marketing team had some Venn diagrams up on the wall. K-pop, Demon
Hunters.
What can we do?
Here's the thing. That marketing diagram has been up for ages now. Idol card captor sort of things are there, and there's been quite a few Idol magical girls coming through in the past few seasons of anime. Band Idol anime are a genre in themselves, so it's there. This is just bringing it to Netflix.
I'm getting an 80s.
It's basically the world saying, Tanya, you're irrelevant. Shut
You'll feel irrelevant. I don't think I feel. But yeah, it just does feel like marketing. It's got an 80s vibe about it. You know, when toy companies were making cartoons. Sorry, Transformers fans. I didn't need to bring that up.
Look, how long has marketing been part of cartoons and anime? It's definitely since the 80s. It's probably, you could probably argue.
Well, I get 70s and 60s as well.
Yeah.
How many network TV shows were turned into rather humdrum?
Oh, yeah. Sorry, I was also just thinking of the Flintstones cigarette adverts as well. So, you know.
So beyond that, the summer season for anime starts.
Yep. So I'm not going to go through all of them because every season there's like 3 dozen odd animes that are released, and don't know. I don't have that much brain capacity to go through
That's
each
right.
of them.
David has
But
to eat and sleep as well, you know.
Yeah.
Remember in the like 90s and noughties, you could literally go and watch every single new show that was released in the fall release for shows.
Well, yeah, but this is also there's a global expansion as well. It's not just streaming services and more networks coming out. This is us having more access to what's out there as well. Look, for me, seriously looking forward to Dan to Dan season 2. Koji number 8 again, season 2, and my life is a vending machine. I was reborn as a vending machine, season 2.
Okay, that sounds anime.
Yeah, it's isekai. That's one of the few isekai that I'll actually watch. So yeah,
Crazy.
because it's ridiculous.
Nice.
Okay, right. Shall we get on to the topic at hand?
Let's get on to the topic at hand because, boom. Oh, okay. Who's this guy?
He's a network TV detective. Oh, wait. Maybe he's from a Western.
He might be a
like-
primal powerhouse of some sort.
He might be the
Primal
bartender
power,
that keeps the
that
whole
is.
town going or something. Or the piano man or something. Maybe the sidekick to the sheriff.
All right. So we're talking about Genndy Tartakovsky today.
To you, Genndy?
Yep.
Yes, indeed. Look, he's a name that's kind of become synonymous with the fun, the exciting, the action-adventure animation series that are out there.
The design, the expressiveness.
He does lots of awesome action poses. Do you want to talk about his early years then?
Yeah, so you might know this guy from Dexter's Laboratory. He's one of Cartoon Network's great spikes. He also did the Clone Wars, the original 2003 to 2005 mini shorts for Star Wars, which I think pretty much eclipse anything that's come out since. Last time we did the podcast, we were working backwards through the Star Wars, or I worked backwards through the Star Wars animations. And they were kind of getting more and more impressive the further back in time I went. And then suddenly I remembered, oh, yeah, that's right. There's another Clone Wars. And I watched that one all in 90 minutes or something. It blew the whole lot away. And that was Tartakovsky's Clone Wars, which I believe they retro-conned out of existence or something and rewrote it. He's also responsible for one of my favorite cartoons for a very long time. And that was Samurai Jack, until Primal turned up. And he's a close collaborator with another guy called McCracken, Craig McCracken, which is a great name for an animator, I think.
Yes.
My first thought is he always reminds me of a Jack the King Kirby of animation, old Genndy. He's a sort of working class, not a street kid, but he's a working class child from Chicago. He originally hails from Russia. I think he was born in 1970, and he migrated to the United States when he was 7, with, I presume, his family. So he lived in Chicago as a working class kid, migrant kid, and he was a closet animator. Like, he didn't come out of the closet until he started studying it one day. And his parents didn't get in the way. They figured, if you can make money as a storyboard artist or something like that, go for it. We don't care. He's kind of remind me of the same era I came from, except less Anglo. He's a product of what happens in Chicago when the weather's terrible and everyone stays at home watching old free-to-air, and lots of movie reruns and lots of cartoon reruns. Bugs Bunny, the old Warner Brothers cartoons, when they were just recycled for the hell of it before they became a franchise in the 90s. So anyway, that's his influence. There he is trying to draw Bugs Bunny and get into animation, and discovers comics at the local 7-Eleven and has a great time with all that stuff. So essentially, he studies he actually scores an animation class in Columbia College in Chicago, which is like a liberal arts college. It sounds a bit like an animation version of Whopper or possibly a TAFE, but it's not a community college like TAFEs are over in the States. It's more like an actual university, but they call it a commuter university. So the students don't live there, they commute there, which apparently is supposedly significant because they actually make a point of calling it a commuter college. Weird system in the States. So anyway, that sort of gets him started, and I think he ends up getting eventually into CalArts, which is where he starts, or either he hooks up in Columbia or CalArts with Craig, I'm not quite sure. So he famously makes 2 student shorts there, and one of them turns out to be a 2-minute prototype of what we now know as Dexter's Lab.
Dexter's Lab, yeah.
So apparently Dexter's Lab was one of the things that helped him score a Hanna-Barbera job, along with Craig McCracken. And basically they were working on essentially Hanna-Barbera's sort of attempt to keep up with the Ren and Stimpies of this world. I don't know 2 stupid dogs from a bar or so, but when you spit through clips of them, they're very much influenced by what's going on with Ren and Stimpy at the moment, which was really causing waves in the 90s and shaking up animation quite a bit. That and SpongeBob, which really was kind of loosening up the whole thing. So eventually he gets into a gig in around 2000, I think, 1999, 2000s.
I'll just interrupt you there. There's a few other things that he did do that was important, like cut his teeth on. One of which was the animated series, and the other which was a short-lived Simpsons spin-off called The Critic.
Oh, I'm not sure I've seen that one. I don't know that from a bar of soap.
The Critic's pretty fun.
I'll have to look it up.
It is definitely more academic in terms of its audience compared to The Simpsons.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
Interesting.
I didn't realize it was a Simpsons spin-off though.
No.
I say spin-off. Perhaps I shouldn't. It does get folded back into The Simpsons later. I don't know if it was back with pilots if they were just folded in after.
They do. I know they do have a crossover moment, but I couldn't remember where.
Yeah, there's a crossover episode. I don't know if that was a backdoor pilot or after.
I have seen this. Oh, I didn't realize that was him. Okay.
Yeah, it involved in it, not created by any means. It was just some of his work. Those are 2 of the notable projects that the 2 other notable projects he was involved in.
I remember channel hopping across it 30 years ago, so that's my expertise. That's my knowledge of it. Okay. There was a lot of experimenting going on. Actually, in fact, it's a very interesting period. We could probably do a whole little podcast just on that period, like
I think we could do American animation. There's different angles that you could take on it.
I would say it's a huge subject actually, and I think it's like the equivalent, of what was happening in the 30s. It's like a second round or a third round, I guess.
Yeah.
If you consider the 60s as being another one. And this is where all of a sudden there was a changing of blood really in the animation industry. And all these relatively young people got into it, like young executives, like the people at Cartoon Network were building up this network from scratch, and they were all young guns getting in there and hiring.
Early Cartoon Network wasn't afraid to experiment with stuff. No. They basically threw things around. So that's how we got things like the Venture Brothers. That's how we got things like Aqua Teen Hunger Force.
Yeah, so they were definitely trying weird and strange things. MTV had experimented with things like liquid television, and this was sort of like its second generation of that was much more polished. And Ren and Stimpy had broken the ice on sort of like, I suppose you would call it Gen X ironic cartooning. It was kind of edgy and funny at the same time, and probably a little too edgy for some people at the time. Certainly very visceral. And so there's this whole period with all these names establish themselves, and pretty much they've been, we've been coasting off their careers ever since, really. So for me, it's Genndy is one of the standout stars of all that whole period.
Yeah, so he and Craig
combining that,
McCracken coming from that time period. Yeah.
because he combines that whole graphic art thing with the cartoon stuff. It's got a real interesting style.
Yeah.
And his first project that he helped was the one that he started in CalArts, wasn't it? Dexter's.
Yeah, Dexter's Lab.
Dexter's Lab. So, yeah. So Dexter's Lab. Dexter is a great series. Like the animation is what you'd expect. It is early, Genndy, but yeah, it's all there. The action, the weird and quirky style, definitely has a look about it. I do, of course, have a slide of the Powerpuff Girls there because he contributed quite a bit to the series.
You can kind of feel him almost developing more of his style there as well as the director of that series, can't you?
Yeah, definitely. Craig McCracken is, of course, is the creator of the Powerpuff Girls career, and he also did his student film, the Whoop-Ass Stew, which was the original name of the Powerpuff Girls, and it was changed when they turned it into a TV series. So those two shows really early career stages, allowing those animators to cut their teeth and do some awesome, really dynamic, but also simple and easy to replicate pieces for television animation. So I think they fit into the Cartoon Network aesthetic really well.
Oh yeah.
I always thought Genndy was sort of like a new version of Tex Avery, but with a more graphic arts background.
Yeah.
If you got Saul Bass and crossed him with a Tex Avery, you'd get a Genndy. Yeah, it's really cool.
Without the racism or the sexism.
He's definitely a hybrid of things, and we've got hybrid vigor with this stuff, I feel.
Yeah.
Well, I feel from Samurai Jack onwards, he's moving in a more artistic directory.
Well, that's Primal, isn't it?
I should say, rather than directed.
So Samurai Jack, Lindsay mentioned, was his favorite. So can we talk a little bit about that? Because it is generally the most, definitely not the most recognized, but more one of the most talked about in terms of his legacy of work.
Yeah, I think the thing that impressed me about it was that it was this full-on kinetic cartoon with incredible exaggeration and style that had these quiet, still moments all through it. So it was really balanced in terms of these explosive action, explosive epic action, and usual one guy against an entire army that all get blown up stylistically was definitely him. But they also have these long periods where nothing's happening. And revisiting them, like even just 15, 20 years ago, I was surprised at how small and murky they looked. You'd have really stylized backgrounds that felt like moving artwork, and then there would be a character in the front of it, and it was like almost so abstract it almost didn't look like an actual scene, but it conveyed everything really well. And I thought the way it used color and the way it used shape and style and timing was really excellent. And then you look at Primal and Star Wars, Clone Wars, then that's all taken up. You can see he's built on that sort of foundation and just polished it further, where everything is just almost like putting dialogue in there is just a waste of time, really. It all works beautifully visually, and the soundtrack's doing its job. The characters and colors and staging and blocking is doing its job. It's just gorgeous to look at. So I'm a big fan. I always liked what he did there. The weird thing is I haven't seen the later series of Samurai Jack.
The 2015, 16.
Yeah, that's all new stuff. So I don't know what that's like. I assume it's more the
A
same.
complete storyline. Apparently, it's a bit of a letdown. I haven't managed to catch that either. Fortunately, it's in my Blu-ray pile of shame.
Ooh.
So, but
Oh, I might just have to take it off you and have a little borrow, I think.
yeah, that's fair. If you can play physical media, I can lend it to you.
Oh, that's true. Oh, well, one of the best things I ever bought was a USB 3 Blu-ray player. It's like Blu-ray player, plug. Yeah. I might change computers, but I'm not losing that thing.
So Samurai Jack was what got Genndy's job doing the Clone Wars.
Impressed a lot of people.
Lucas and some of his team were fans of Samurai Jack, and
he was for the creation of Samurai Jack. He was drawing off some of the same sources as well.
Exactly right.
There's Seven Samurai references in Samurai Jack with one of the banners when he's defending the dog village. So
that's right. I reckon I know Mike Kurosawa. I'm a big fan of him too. So I looked at this like, holy moly, it's the maestro of animation. Really, I can see the influences there, and a lot of that. Those stylized backgrounds reminded me of the use of moving backgrounds in Kurosawa, like, wind in the trees, dust on the ground, fire, smoke, water, all that stuff. And that's, if you look at his old 60s samurai films, apologies to any Japanese viewers are thinking, oh, no, not another Westerner talking about 60s Japanese films. They're hard to beat. You can see why they were so influential on the Western cinema mind. Everything's just beautifully staged and beautifully choreographed, and everything's got a job to do. Even the background's busy contributing in an active way to the drama.
Yeah, and that's definitely
it's all there.
Jack, the background is given so much love and attention most of the time until it fades away into almost a series of shapes because the action is brought to the foreground. It's
It's good. It's like animation is no longer trying to look like something realistic. It's now become its own thing. Yeah. It's the same thing with Jack Kirby. Jack Kirby does something similar with comics. So if you know the old Marvel comics, Jack Kirby has that banana style with the big square hands and the forced perspective. And if you look at his comic work is anatomically crap, but it doesn't matter because it's so bold. And what makes it stand out is you can't tell the difference between the graphic art, the type, the sound effects that they use, stram and splat and all that stuff, and the speed lines. They all become one seamless thing. And that's what makes some of that early Marvel stuff stand out. And I think that's half the reason why Stan Lee did so well, because he was standing on the shoulders of people like Jack the King Kirby. And I feel there's something similar going on here with Genndy. And I think that's why I like him so much. He's got all this stuff fits together so well. It's animated and expressive, but it's not too obsessed with being real. It's animation purely as itself. It's a cartoon that's purely meant to be a cartoon. And it's not afraid to be epic or small or whatever. It's good.
Yeah.
How can you fault it? And here we are talking about him. So, yeah. Gosh.
Okay. So, Clone Wars, which we talked about last month, so let's not dwell on it too much. Here's more modern animations.
Symbiotic Titan, 2010 to 2011. This, how did you describe it? It's the Breakfast Club meets Battle of the Planets. So in this case, it's
a bit of Godzilla.
Yeah, 3 refugee aliens, a rebel, a princess, and a brain, or Lance, Ileana, and either Octus or Newton, depending on which disguise he's in at the time. Is sent to Earth and hiding out. The enemy is sending kaiju after them, so they must defend their planets while pretending to be high school students and keeping it. So it's a great series. I think it was the first time he might have moved into experimenting with computer animation, combining with more traditional animation styles, especially when it comes to the Titan itself and some of the mech and kaiju in this. Again, it highlights action, strong basis of Japanese action, Super Sentai, and Tokakatsu sort of style. And it's one of those that was cancelled before its time. We got 19 episodes, another 10 were written, I believe. And depending on how diplomatic Genndy's being on the day, it's either was cancelled due to studio difficulties, or they couldn't find a toy line, or someone interested to make a toy line for it. So
funding problem.
Yeah, it's. I think it's a hidden gem of his. It's one that critics and those that have sort of looked through his work have kind of enjoyed when they've come across it. It is not complete, obviously, and he did want to continue the series. And considering he has previously, with both Dexter's Lab and Samurai Jack, been able to get interest again to complete the series, it may happen, but I don't think so in this case. The excitement seems to died it down. It screened back on Netflix in 2019 and got some renewed interest there, but not enough, and it's been removed from its roster.
Interesting.
Bringing us to Primal, which Primal is, well, unanimously, one of the best animations of the last 10 years.
Yeah, it's
between the three of us.
so
Yeah.
Like there's nothing that even
Gets close to it.
Yeah. It's
brilliant subject matter. Yeah.
It's standout. It's amazing. Look, I just recommend going and watching Primal. Do it. I ended up buying copies of it because rather than streaming it. Oh, what do you got hanging up there? The Blu-ray.
Yep. Of season 2, I've got season 1 down there as well. So yep.
Wow.
Yeah, it's pretty solid. Really nice story. Really awesomely animated. The character design is fantastic. Yes, we can talk endlessly about Primal. But,
and it's everything we've been talking about for everything else, just filtered down to exactly what it needs to be.
Yeah.
It's certainly a very refined, stripped back sort of exercise. It doesn't feel like there's any stray fat on it or anything. It's quite amazing.
Almost wordless in its first season.
It's good.
Yeah, it's amazing.
Very, very cool.
The last one I don't recognize at all.
Unicorn Warriors Eternal.
Yeah, this one I've seen first episode on when it was on YouTube when it came out, and as a teaser, and I haven't seen the series at all. But it is exactly that. Three Eternal Warriors and a robot fighting against a darkness that they've unleashed on the Earth and being reincarnated into different forms to do that.
Yeah.
And this is looking at kind of the latest form, which is, I think, set in the 1800s, 1890s sort of steampunk era.
Oh, okay.
It's interesting. It got one season, and that seems to be all she wrote. It hasn't been renewed.
I remember it being heavily thrown out there as part of the internet in 23, but it sort of disappeared, and I don't think it caught its audience.
No, I don't think it did. It's kind of also hard to follow up Primal as well.
Yeah,
true.
You've set the bar at that.
Oh wow.
Yeah,
That's right.
What do you do?
It's true.
It certainly looks interesting.
Definitely looks interesting. So, but well, yeah. Also, I've got. Let's talk about his movies because you know he does the Dexter's Lab movie in '99, and then follows it up with a TV movie of the Flintstones on the rocks.
Good grief.
And it's a more stylized version of the Flintstones. It definitely has that Genndy feel to it. He was a supervising producer on it, not but you know, it's definitely got his hand in it. It's definitely a more adult version of the Flintstones. So the whole thing is Fred forgets their anniversary, and Wilma loses her crap at the couples counseling that they're going to. And so they organize a double holiday to Pocoroco Island of Pocoroco, something like that. And so hijinks incur. There's a 60s style cat burglar plot, which is a mix up of bags, and it's got some Flintstones relevant jokes. It is like I said, skewed a little bit older, especially in terms of the the relationship stuff that's going on, but it does also seem to riff off the live action movies of the Flintstones as well. There's like in the movies, Barney works with Fred Flintstone in the quarry, which he doesn't do in the original series. And they apparently got married in Rock Vegas, the same way they did in the sequel movie too. Yeah.
Nice.
So it's riffing off that bit.
Okay.
Ooh.
No.
We don't know what you're talking about, Willow.
That would have been Unicorn Warriors Eternal. Timing wise.
Yes.
Yeah, it's curious. Anyway.
Yes. So Flintstones, it's there. Other movies. So there's the Powerpuff Girls movie, first movie, the origin of Mojo Jojo and that sort of stuff in there. Jojo the monkey. Yeah, finally finding that out. But he's the animation director on that. Animation supervisor on How to Eat Fried Worms, which was a live action movie but had an intricate animated, definitely Genndy influenced intro animation sequence. What else we got? Iron Man 2, the storyboard. Yeah. So he's uncredited for that, but did a chunk of the action sequences storyboarded for Iron Man 2, which is not as good as Iron Man 1.
But the action scenes are cool. Okay. And his most famous one.
I mentioned Priest first because also an animated intro to a movie, live action movie, animated intro Priest. It's really nice.
Telling the world fell to vampires, I believe, if I remember the movie.
Yeah, so it's tonally more in terms of his later work, like Primal. It's done during the time of what is it? Bionic Titan. So
yeah. So that would have been Orphanage Animation Studio that was doing that, I'd say.
Yeah. And then Hotel Transylvania, which You've
Well,
seen it.
he was animation director, wasn't he? I've seen half of the first one, and it's not bad actually. It's I think who was it? It was executive producer. But they had a really interesting technique in it where they would do all their 3D renders with all the motion blur and stuff like that. But then at key moments, they'd re-render frames with no motion blur, so that if a character was flying through the air very quickly, there'd be one or two frames that would just not be blurred, and the audience would pick it up without realizing it wasn't blurred. So they could have some really fast animation in there without the motion blur obliterating it all. So that was kind of interesting. So he kind of brought that 2D sensibility in there, where the old freeze in midair samurai move, but refined it to work on a regular CGI flick. And it's a very interesting technique.
That's generally what I hear about the film mostly. The films that they have a 2D aesthetic in a 3D world.
It was pretty well. They're not bad. The bits I've seen, I was thinking, I could sit through and watch all this if I had enough time. But it's definitely worth checking out. It's a bit like Despicable Me. At first glance, it looks like bottom of the barrel, like populism. And then you actually watch it and you think there's actually quite a lot of sophisticated stuff going on in here, in things like character development and character design and stuff like that. And there's actually quite a bit going on that makes it worth your while. And it's very commercial, and this is too. So it's carefully engineered to pay the rent, but it's it's not being stupid about it.
It's the usual philosophy of you do one for them and one for you.
Pretty much. Pretty much. It's well worth your time.
True. He's also creative consultant on Trolls. Okay. So
really?
I didn't engage with Trolls at all, but
engaged with the first one.
Can't recall almost anything about it.
I found it had a really interesting tone. It's the only chirpy CGI kids film I can remember that had lots of grey tones in it, which I thought was interesting. I mean, the film itself is fairly forgettable, but there were some neat aspects to it that I thought were kind of cool. So, yeah. As for the sequels, I'm indifferent to them, to be honest.
Okay, let's look at upcoming and cancelled. So
we've got Fixed, which is apparently coming out to Netflix later this year.
Looking forward to this.
Yep, this was one that was almost vaulted by Warner Brothers. So, like the day the Earth blew up, it managed to get life anyway. So that's pretty good. So
that's not bad.
Yeah, I'm glad like the 2D animations have been released. The day the Earth blew up was quite fun. I definitely want to go back and rewatch it. And this looks quite cool. It is Genndy's first R-rated animation. Is that right? Yeah.
So given the subject matter is a dog, I think trying to avoid being fixed.
Or having a last weekend before he gets fixed.
Yeah.
This may be Genndy doing Fritz the cat, basically. So let's see how we'll
find out. Yeah.
Well, the comparison to Bakshi is
it's the first thing I thought of.
Is that not just not in his style, but definitely in his origins and pathway through animation. So
I've got to admit, it kept reminding me of Lady of the Tramp.
Lady and the Tramp.
Yeah, like an R-rated version of Lady and the Tramp. Minus the cutesiness of Disney.
Hold on, have you seen it?
No, I've just
the trailer. Just the trailer.
Yeah.
Just the trailer. Yeah.
The other one is a bit more elusive, Black Knight, which we know next to nothing about. Hopefully it's coming out next year or this year. It seems like he's doing a medieval fantasy sort of basis for it. So it sounds a little Arthurian, and that's got me interested.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm keen to see where it goes. It looks pretty. There's only a few images out there that sort of are in that world. So,
Okay.
but the design, the art design looks great.
Mm.
Popeye.
Yep.
Oh, wow.
Do you want to say why we don't have Popeye?
Look, I love the original Popeyes. I realize they're dated. I realize, but Genndy, as usual, when it comes to anything through Sony, the people running the project want to do something more artful, more tied into the concept of the character. The short pieces that they've released, the test footage for Popeye looks great. It's done sort of a similar style to the Peanuts movie, so they keep that semi-flat aesthetic. But it looks really, really nice. And Sony dumped it in favor of doing the Emoji Movie. Yeah. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. That's I just like what is wrong with Sony? I don't understand what is Sony's deal, because you just watch anything about the behind the scenes of their version of the Spider-Verse.
Yeah. It's amazing anything got launched.
Not necessarily the animation version Spider-Verse, but the live action Spider-Verse that they've done. And the Venom films are pretty fun, but outside of that, it's been just a horrific mess. And why? I don't understand. It's like they see there's backlash. Obviously, there must be some Warner Brothers style tax write-off to it, because it's just crap.
I don't know. They've got property in Spider-Man that they can't exploit.
Well, this sounds like the Terminator films.
Yeah.
2 films come out that are really good, and for the next 30, 40 years, they're trying to remake, and somehow it doesn't quite work.
Anyway,
they're all following marketing information from yesteryear.
Yeah.
They're not a bunch of people striking out trying to do something different, right?
Yeah. This feels like, with the Popeye movie, it feels like a lost opportunity. It feels like art coming against marketing and
private equity, I think.
Yeah. So that's unfortunate. And the other one we lost from him was again during the 2010s, 2011s, which The Power of the Dark Crystal was. He was looking at doing an animated film, which I believe the eventual script of it has been released as comics a couple of years back. Okay. So if you want to see what it could have been, it's there. But it would have been interesting to see Genndy tackle that world.
He has dabbled in comics previously. It's known that he can make the transition. There's a four-issue run of his version of Luke Cage, and the stylized design of those comics are really nice. So I've not seen The Power of the Dark Crystal issues anywhere, but Genndy's Luke Cage stuff is really, really
out there.
It feels like a really nice design. But Power of the Dark Crystal predates the Dark Crystal TV series, which 2015, was that right?
I'm just checking.
That sounds about right.
Yeah.
Okay. Wow. Sounds right. I'm just
10 years ago.
10 years ago, yeah.
Is that a sequel to The Dark Crystal, as in Muppets.
I believe the power.
Yeah.
The Power of the Crystal is a sequel. The Netflix
The TV series is a prequel.
Ah.
Yeah.
It's impressive. I'm sorry it didn't get a follow-up season because
Yeah. Like
it
in
should
terms
have.
of maybe we should do an episode on puppets.
Yeah, we could do.
Hmm.
It got scrapped. Oh, that's why I haven't seen it. Okay.
And
Wow.
it's great, Linz, if you get a
Okay.
chance to see
Right.
see the Dark Crystal TV series. Yeah, really, they went full out set building. Got Brian Froud back in. Yeah, really,
Interesting.
really nice. So
Second season would have been cheaper because everything's been established and made.
Mm.
So
yeah, but no, let's just not do it.
yeah. Sorry, we seem very, very down at this moment in studios.
Oh, no. These are decisions that are very hard to make.
Wrong decisions.
Well,
No,
I mean,
Popeye in favor of in favor of the
that's pretty
emoji movie.
terrible.
Come on.
Yeah,
but that would have been a purely financial decision. They would have looked at it and they thought, who's going to listen to Popeye, or what's the current thing with the kids?
Well,
really,
wasn't the I think probably the turning point would be that Pixels came out just before that. So obviously, and that was a little bit successful. Adam Sandler's Pixels movie. Yeah. Ugh. Ugh. We're not sure whether it's been cancelled or it's still on the cards as the season 3 continuation of Primal. So
now we did kind of get the backdoor pilot in season 2 of what it could possibly go on to be to some way.
That was one thing. There was definitely talk about it being a continuation story from the elements added in the last episode. Not wanting to spoil it for anyone, you have to experience it on your own. Like seriously, yes, you have to watch all the puppet stuff. Willow, it's fantastic.
If nothing else, Muppets are a great reference for anybody wanting to learn how to lip sync properly.
Yeah.
If you want to get perfect timing on lip syncing an animated character, you cannot beat the Muppets. They just do it so well you don't even realize they're doing it.
Yeah.
And Dark Crystal, of course, opens up the vistas what's actually achievable with puppets as well, I think.
Yeah, so the CG enhanced puppet work.
Oh, okay.
So the characters blink, digitally blink.
Oh, really? Oh,
yeah.
Okay.
And there's some nice little effects that run. Yeah, it's just small little touches that they've done to make the characters come. Yeah,
that would have allowed them to kind of scale up quite substantially once they got all that stuff templated out. Yeah. Okay. Cool.
But yeah, we should talk puppets. Well, we should talk Henson. And that's a big episode.
For a second, I thought you were going to mention Super Mario there. I was thinking, hold on.
Okay.
No.
So
you've got. I mean, you'd have to do it on the Muppets.
Yeah. Super Mario Nation would be cool. Like totally talking about.
Well, that's more of a VFX. Talk, that one, because.
If you're talking about character design and acting, Muppets.
Yes, definitely. And if you're talking about special effects, all those guys went on starting off building Thunderbirds models and stuff and doing those extraordinary pyrotechnics, and then moved on to things like Star Wars, Alien, and all that sort of stuff. So all that expertise, and I'm not sure if they even had a role to play in 2001, but certainly that expertise was around in the UK at the time when they were making those films. So yeah, they're quite an influential little studio in their own funny way. So yeah, it's good stuff. Not to say the Yanks didn't make awesome models on their own. They did.
Yeah. Anyway, we are pretty much at the end of things.
Yeah, we
So,
can.
A nice round, well, sort of round hour.
no, not quite the round hour, but we've got through. It's interesting career of work. Like the animators we've talked about previously have all, died before
It's posthumous the coverage of them. Yeah,
This one is our age.
Yeah, he's definitely been
Yeah.
our age. Of course, well, when I say died, sort of, disappeared from the public view as an animator. Ralph Bakshi's still out there, but he's out there, scraping money from cells of Fire and Ice.
Oh God. Yeah, I can imagine that doing a black market.
There's only so many cells of naked Tila that you can sell.
Oh, you can license action figures. Frazetta Girls has actually released a number of Fire and Ice action figures now. So
Cool.
including Tila. So
You have to see that film.
Yeah.
Excellent.
Tigra.
Tigra.
Yeah. Sorry.
That's right. Yeah. I was like, hang on, that's not right. Yeah.
It's Tigra. Yeah.
Nice.
Anyway, so we should sign off and let these people go and be to their evenings and do their thing.
Let Willow watch some puppets.
That's right.
Willow watch some puppets.
Get out there and watch some Genndy and watch some puppets.
Start with the Muppet movie, the original Muppet movie. Oh, good night.
1970s Sesame Street. There we go. So, Tanya?
Yeah. Absolutely 1970s Sesame Street. Going through that stuff. Yeah.
Yeah. I think we should probably, if we are coming to Henson, we should do like early and Sesame Street, Muppets, and later.
And then, the movies. Could almost
or we just plan for a big Henson episode.
Oh, give 3 hours. Yeah, that'd be fine.
Yeah.
Okay. I'll get the hourglass.
Because, there's time to be spent in the 80s in those movies. And then even in the 90s when you're talking about
Lord Grey. Also Lord Grey, the British Muppets.
Greystoke, Legend of Tarzan stuff.
Mm-hmm. Yoda.
All
There's a
that.
lot.
So.
All right. Well,
Right.
Let's sign off. It's going to be goodbye from me.
And it's goodbye from me.
and it's goodbye from them. Have a good evening, everyone.
Thanks.
Bye.
See ya.